welcome to this live webinar and or podcast, depending on if you're watching it or listening to it. And today what I want to talk to you about is prenatal or antenatal education, and what are the absolute essential must-dos, and then what are those kind of little optional extras that you could do. Well, generally speaking, when it comes to antenatal or prenatal education, the general thing that people think of is the group classes, where somewhere at around, say, 23 to 27 weeks, somewhere at that stage, you start a weekly, one evening a week kind of group class with another 10 couples or such like, which finishes up by the time you're around, say, 34, 35 weeks. And obviously with COVID, the idea of doing group classes is pretty unappealing. But also, is that adequate? And I would have to say, abso-freaking-lutely not adequate. And we can prove that really by the birth statistical outcomes. You know, when your local hospital has got, say, a 1/3 cesarean rate, well, you can know that that's across all pregnancies, of course. So it means that the first time labours have a higher chance of an emergency C-section, probably more like 50%, which is ridiculously high. And then on top of that, we've still got the instrumental vaginal deliveries, assisted deliveries with fontus or forceps, very, very common end outcome to an epidural. And so really, you could say that you've probably got about a 1/3 chance of having a normal vaginal birth with the first baby, commonly around the world, and sometimes way worse than that. So are those routine classes adequate? I would have to say no. Are they good? Yes. Most of them are pretty good classes. Are they enough? No, they're not enough. That's not enough to know. You know, it's so crazy how we go to university for years and years of full-time study to get our first job. Or, we have hundreds of hours driving to get our driving license. But then, we think we could go to a few evening classes and we're all good to go and ready for childbirth. No, we're not. So I'm going to be going into this topic in a lot bigger, deeper dive with our Motherwise Masterclass, which is part of my inner circle. And I'll add a link onto the bottom of this post so that you can see how to join that if you would like to grab a subscription to our Essential Basics. But basically the other things that I think are really important is that it is about layering the information, okay? So yes, you want to do that class, but that's a real basic. That's like way down at the basics. You need to layer that information. Some basic amounts of layering would include, for the woman, reading some other good books about childbirth. These are books about childbirth, not books about pregnancy, books about childbirth. So things like Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth or Janet Balaskas' New Active Birth, great books, and it's about layering that information. For the woman and her birth support partner, and anybody else who's going to be present at the labour, anybody involved with that birth support. I can't recommend enough, obviously, in my biased opinion, which that's a lie. I'm allowed to have a biased opinion. But I recommend my book, Oh Baby. This has been a bestseller for Penguin Random House since 2005. But it has a whole chapter on childbirth. And that is me pouring my heart out to you, giving you the absolute best information that I possibly can about understanding those phases of labour and the stages of birth. Such important information to realize what is going to happen with your body. Other things that are musts are downloading my free organic birth download. You can go to the website and ask for that. And actually, currently, while I'm doing this live, we've also made my 90-minute organic birth video, which is usually $200. We've made that free around the world at the moment for women having to deal with coronavirus during their pregnancy and facing the idea that they either can be in a hospital without their birth support present, or they need to be, be home birthing or birth centre birthing. So never has natural birth been so popular, basically, because we want to protect our babies from being in a hospital just for the purpose of having an epidural. And we can completely empower you so that you can go into labour and not need an epidural. So those are the main points. I'll just go through my little list here. And there's also, I've got a whole lot of webinars and a whole lot of podcasts. And definitely do a hospital tour as well. But just know that those standard routine antenatal classes just absolutely are not adequate. You need to do way more than that. And we actually also have a being mother-wise list that we can send you. So don't hesitate to either email or send us a message asking for the becoming mother-wise list, so we can send you all your what to do, what to watch, what to read list. So that's everything for today. But look, I love you guys and wish you a really great week. All right. Bye, everybody. See you.